everybody, and welcome back to my channel for this Tuesday morning, afternoon or evening across the world where you may be at. And today I'm going to be talking to you about autism and dementia, and I'm going to be talking to you about how to support autistic people to better communicate with people who may be on the dementia spectrum or suspected of being on the dementia spectrum or fully diagnosed with dementia. This is something that I'm personally going through right now with my relative. She has just been put into a care home permanently, and as an autistic woman I've really been struggling to come to terms with the fact she might have suspected dementia and how to communicate with her, and how I've seen her change over a small period of time since being in the care home. And as a lot of people on the autistic spectrum know, I'm only speaking from my own personal experience, but a lot of us do have oversensitive hearing, oversensitive emotions, heightened emotions, and for me on the autistic spectrum I found this really difficult to kind of comprehend and deal with and process, and it's taken me quite a while. Still I'm learning how to deal with it, process it, and take the time that I need to fully understand what's going to happen, how she's going to change over the next coming weeks, months, potentially a couple of years. I don't know how her dementia is going to affect her, but as an autistic person, it is really hard to process change. When your relatives are going through suspected dementia or fully diagnosed dementia, either option, it can be hard for autistic people to get their heads around and to process why everything has to change, why the person's behaviour may change, why their attitude may change, why they might be a bit more sleepy than they usually are, why they lack the attention span, or why they might struggle to fully communicate with you to begin with. For someone like myself who is on the autistic spectrum, I do struggle with full communication. I do struggle with knowing how to communicate with someone and when not to communicate with someone. And as someone who's dealing with a relative who is suspected of being on the dementia spectrum, it's kind of took me by surprise, and I've learned to kind of process it in my own time. But things that I need to know, and things that you need to know as my viewers, subscribers, friends, family here on the channel, is that a lot of people with autism are going to not deal well with change. It may be a change to the care home system, how things are run, how things are talked about, the language that is used in front of you when you go to visit a care home. I'm very lucky actually so far that the care home that my relative is in, that it is actually like a mini hotel or motel as you guys call it in the States and Canada. It's really nice. There's a movie room, they've got garden, they've got a little restaurant, they've got a library and that kind of stuff. So it is a really nice like home from home basically, but I do struggle with processing knowing that she's going to be in there for the rest of her life, and it's going to be something that's going to be a permanent adaptation. She's used to being fully independent in her own home to now living in a fully committed residential home, care home, and you know it's hard for her to adjust to it, and obviously she doesn't really understand what's happening. But you know it's hard for the autistic person like myself to see her change and go through all the mood swings that she goes through, all the kind of mindset she goes through in that average day. It can be really hard to know if she's in a good front, a bad front, and you know, and it can be really overwhelming and frustrating to physically and emotionally communicate with them, because you don't know what they're going through, you don't know what triggers they're experiencing, you don't know how they're feeling, where in their mindset they actually are, whether they're acting like an adult like they are most of the time like I am now, or whether they're acting in their childish like memories, or whether they're acting like a young adult, or whether they're acting like someone who's a little baby child. Their moods and their mindset always changes, and it is part of the dementia process, as I've learned recently through my mum kind of educating me and reading things about dementia online to kind of help my understanding and knowledge. And obviously I will link some dementia resources down below in the video description as well. So I'm not a medical professional about dementia, I'm just talking about this from a person who has a relative in a care home. And you know it can get really overwhelming and frustrating, and knowing the appropriate ways of communicating with them, whether it's short sentences, long sentences, or bullet points, or saying certain words that you know that they'll be happy with talking about, or trying to bring up memories to make them recollect their previous experiences or their past or their current situation. You know, there's always things that you can do, such as bringing in family pictures or colouring books or crossword puzzles, or bringing in their favourite candies, or bring their favourite food or their favourite drink. Like keeping the conversation positive and light and funny, and not focusing on like the bad stuff or the negative stuff, that can really help to keep them focused and entertain with you with the current discussion. But again, their moods can change. Like when I last went to visit my relative in the care home, she didn't really want me there. She was very adamant for me to go when, she kind of got bored after like 45 minutes of me being maybe you should think about heading off, Gemma, maybe you should think about heading home, Gemma. And it was like she couldn't wait to get rid of me, and that really did hurt my ego a little bit and did really hurt me as a person, because I knew it wasn't her trying to get rid of me as such, but it was something that I felt she was trying to deliberately get rid of me. And it took me a while to progress. Well, now I know it wasn't her, it was her illness, it was the behaviour, it was her being tired and her being a bit overstimulated, I guess. But again, it can be really difficult if you're not used to someone with dementia in your family or as a friend or in your local community. Dementia is a really hard thing to understand, because it's all about how the mind works, how their moods change, how their physical aggression may increase, or how they may be restless and things like that. So it's really hard to deal with and progress, because you don't know how to take them, you don't know what mindset they're going to be in. And for people with autism, we don't read body language, so again, that is something that is against us from the outset, and it can be really overwhelming to try and understand where they are mentally and physically, and also how much tiredness they get. Also, I would research in advance things to talk about to them, or like I said, try and bring things from home, like photographs of family, friends, try and bring previous historical things, so photos of their house, or photos of where they used to live, or photos of their previous school, or photos of their previous workplaces, or previous friendships that they've had, to try and recollect their memories so they can entertain with you and stay visually stimulated and engage with you in the conversation. In her care home, she does have a lot of activities that she likes to do. There is quite a lot of things like tennis and arts and crafts making, and preparing food, and making dementia badges and things like that. They've done quite a lot of different things, like walking to the park. I think they're going out in the next few days to like the local football club and stuff like that, soccer club for those in the US and Canada. So again, from my own experiences only, it can take a while to progress and talk to the individual with dementia. It's something that I have been struggling with, but things that I would suggest are to research what dementia is, so you can successfully communicate with people and learn how to talk to them and not talk down to them like a child, because I have seen a lot of people where they do talk down to them, they talk down to them like they're a child or like they're dumb. It's like, oh, are you ready for a cup of tea, dear? Are you ready for a cup of coffee, dear? Like, don't talk down to them, because that is the most patronising, useless thing that you can do. Also, make sure you talk to them like they're a human, like I am with you now. How are you today? How are you feeling? Let's talk about this and this and this and this and this, Get them engaging, get them thinking, get them communicating with you. Don't just shut them out and talk to them like they're children, because they're not. They're still human beings. They're still adults by the end of the day. It's just that their mind works a little bit differently, and they are behaving differently to what they usually would be back in their usual state before they came down with the dementia or got associated with the dementia, and it took hold of their mind and the way they behave, the way they act, the way they communicate towards you. Don't take it personally. It isn't them trying to intentionally hurt you or trying to intentionally upset you or make you isolated, which I felt in the last 3 or 4 visits that I've done with the relative in question. And just try and be brave, be strong, try and research it if you can ahead of time. I will link some information down below for you guys to know what to expect when you're going to visit a loved one. But please remember, it is not them, it's the dementia, and unfortunately it is going to slowly increase and get worse. Dementia will take hold eventually, and we just have to try and deal with it the best way we know how. That means that you need to take time out away from the relative or stop visiting entirely, then that is your option and your right to do so. But please don't give up too soon or too quickly. I am going to continue to see the person in question and hopefully see if I can interact with her better and get her talking about some positive things. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this little video about how to support people with autism visiting a relative with dementia, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye guys. Bye.